In this video, I'm going to show you how any one of you can qualify for Mexican residency through financial solvency. The current system for determining financial solvency is far from perfect. Now in this situation, I don't think that anybody could argue that Big Spender Bill is in a better financial situation than Saver Sally. For example, over here you have Big Spender Bill. He's had a pretty high salary his whole life, but he buys a lot of things and he's not very good with money. Bill has no savings despite having a high salary. He has a monthly rent of $1,200 and he has $100,000 in debt that he's racked up. But because of his high salary, he gets $3,000 a month from Social Security. So overall, Big Spender Bill is in a really bad financial position. However, because of his $3,000 a month Social Security payment, he does qualify for Mexican residency through financial solvency. Saver Sally has been working a low-income job her whole life, but she's managed to accrue $20,000 in savings. She has her home paid off, she has zero debt, but because of her low salary throughout her career, she's only getting $1,000 a month for Social Security, and because of this Social Security payment, she does not meet the requirements for financial solvency. But in this video, I'm going to show you how someone like Saver Sally can get legal residency in Mexico through financial solvency, even if Saver Sally had no savings at all. I had this epiphany this morning, and I'm just annoyed that I didn't think of this sooner. But the process for residency, typically you're going to make an appointment with a Mexican consulate in your home country, and then you're going to go there with bank statements proving that you've either had a certain amount of income over the past 6 months or a certain amount of savings and investments over the past 12 months. And then if you meet those income requirements, well, then they're going to approve you, and then you continue the process in Mexico. When you're at the Mexican consulate, you're not showing them your tax returns. They're not running your credit to see how much debt you have. You're literally just bringing your bank statements, and they're looking at how many deposits you have coming in and what those deposits total to. They're not even looking at your expenses at all. When I qualified for Mexican residency, I qualified based on my business income, but really it wasn't even business income. It was literally business revenue. They only cared about the deposits. They didn't care about the expenses at all. They didn't care that I had a $2,000 expense over here, a $500 expense over here, a $3,000 expense up here. It didn't matter. They were only looking at the money coming in, not the money going out. So let's say you're like Saver Sally and you have $20,000 in savings. Well, you don't qualify via savings and investments because you need about $50,000. And she has $1,000 a month in income, and she doesn't qualify via monthly income either because she would need about $2,700 at the most lenient consulate in the United States. We're going to make a 6-month plan so Sally can qualify for Mexican residency before the end of the year. So right now she has $1,000 a month in Social Security income, and at the most lenient consulate in the United States, she needs approximately $2,700 a month coming into her bank account every single month. So that's a difference of $1,700. So we need to figure out how we're going to get an extra $1,700 or more every month in her bank account for the next 6 months. But to be safe, we probably want a little bit of a buffer. So maybe we want to get an extra $2,000 a month or even $2,300 depending on which consulate we're planning to go to. Because if you go to McAllen, Texas in 2023, you only need $2,700 a month, but it might be difficult for Sally to get to McAllen, Texas from Minnesota, and her nearest consulate requires $3,300 a month, in which case she would need an extra $2,300 of monthly income. So Sally has lived a modest life, but over the course of many years, she has accrued lots of things. She has a house full of things. I'm the world's worst artist, but just pretend these are things inside of her house. She has lots of things. And remember, she wants to move to Mexico, and there's no way that she can bring all this stuff with her. So this is our secret weapon. We're going to be selling these things to be getting that monthly income deposited into our account to reach that approximately $3,000 per month mark to qualify for residency. So by selling everything in here one by one, we're not only going to be qualifying for Mexican residency, but we're also going to be helping Sally move. Because I did this. I had a house full of things that I had to sell because I needed the cash before coming to Mexico. So we're going to make it our goal to list 10 new things for sale every single day. We're going to be listing everything for sale on the app OfferUp. You're going to go to the App Store on your phone. You're going to download OfferUp. because they make it super easy to list things and it's free. And then we're also going to utilize eBay, but we're only going to use eBay for more expensive things and smaller things. For example, if you have a watch, if you have an old iPhone, things that are small are great to sell on eBay because of shipping costs. But if you want to sell a vacuum cleaner, for example, that's got to be on OfferUp, because if you sell a vacuum cleaner on eBay, your shipping costs are going to eat up all of your profits. So when you sell on eBay, you're going to get paid by PayPal, which is perfect because you're going to be getting ACH deposits into your bank account every single month. And PayPal transactions are not going to be questioned by the consulate at all because there's so many people working online who are gaining a little bit of extra income, working a side gig or something, that are getting paid via PayPal. However, on OfferUp, on this app, most of the transactions are done in cash. However, you're going to try to get paid from most people using PayPal, and I think most people will be willing to do that. Now, you could have some deposits coming into your account every month in the form of cash or from friend-to-friend transfer apps like Venmo or Cash App, but I think it's going to look a lot better on your, quote, resume if you have deposits coming from PayPal instead of like Venmo or Cash App. So our 6-month plan is going to look something like this. So in May, June, July, August, September, October, we need at least $2,000 in monthly deposits into our bank account. Remember, when you're going to your consulate appointment, you're not bringing your PayPal transactions or anything like that. You're bringing your bank statement. So your bank statements are what matters. But as you're selling stuff, your PayPal balance is going to grow and grow and grow as you get a whole bunch of deposits into there. And you're not going to transfer everything immediately over to your bank account. So maybe the first month you're selling stuff, you make $4,000. Well, you're only going to transfer like $2,000 or maybe $2,200. Then you save the rest for the next month. So you continue selling stuff in June, and you already had a balance of like $2,000 or $1,800 to start June, but you keep selling stuff, the PayPal balance keeps growing, and before the end of June, you transfer another approximately $2,000 into your bank account. And then you continue doing this every month and letting your PayPal balance grow, never transferring the entire amount over at once. Because remember, you're going to start running out of stuff to sell eventually, and you need to have money to keep sending over from PayPal to your bank account. And when you have your consulate appointment, to prove economic solvency via monthly income, they want to see 6 months of bank statements. So since our 6 months are from May to October, we're going to schedule our consulate appointment in advance in the month of November. So let's say you're watching this video later, like you didn't watch it right when I put it out, or you're starting this process later, and your 6-month schedule is like August, September, October, November, December, January, and then your appointment at the consulate would be in February. Well, you have to remember that if you're starting it later in the year, you have to qualify for the consulate requirements the next year. And we won't know the exact consulate requirements for 2024 until about the second week of January or so. But in 2023, it takes approximately, depending on the consulate, it could be a little higher, a little bit less, it takes approximately $3,000 in monthly income. But that is not the number you have to look at if you're starting this process in August, because you would have a February 2024 appointment. Every year for the past 5 or 6 years, the requirements for residency in Mexico have gone up by about 15 to 20%. So let's say it's on the higher end of that and it goes up 20%. Well, you're going to have to plan on monthly deposits of $3,600 into your bank account in order to qualify for temporary residency. So when you're making transfers from your PayPal into your bank account, make sure you're thinking about this if your appointment isn't going to be until 2024. So let's say you don't have enough things to sell and are really struggling to meet that required PayPal transfer into your bank account every single month. Well, in this case, you can use a trick that I've used in my life. So I've been in like the credit cards, rewards, and points game for a while, and I always try to get the sign-up bonuses because the sign-up bonus can be really valuable, but sometimes it's like you have to spend $5,000 in 3 months, and a lot of times I just wasn't spending that much money. So a trick I would do is I would go to a department store or go to Target and be looking at the clearance racks and looking for the stuff that's on a deep discount, like 50% off, off, 75% off, and I would specifically be looking for things that I thought I could sell pretty quickly. So what I would do is I would buy those things and then I would resell them. And you can use the same trick here because again, it's not your expenses that matter. They don't look at the money going out. They only look at the money coming in. So if you can buy stuff on clearance at a 50% discount and get even a little bit more money back than that, well, then you're going to be in great shape and you're going to be able to continue adding to that PayPal balance. Now, if you're doing this, keep in mind, we're trying to move to Mexico, so we're trying to get rid of stuff, not acquire new stuff, because you're going to have to get rid of practically everything to be able to move here. And you don't have to limit yourself to stores like Target. You could also go to garage sales, yard sales, things like that. Find anything that you can resell so you can have that money coming into your PayPal account every single month. Because remember, it's not expenses that matter. They don't look at expenses at all when they're reviewing your financials at the consulate. They only look at your money coming in, so you need to make sure you have enough money coming in from PayPal every single month. And also a place online I would look for deals is slickdeals.net. If you scour the pages of Slick Deals, you can find quite a few options of things that would fall into the resellable category. Go for the stuff that's going to sell quickly. It can be a great money-making opportunity to buy artificial Christmas trees in January for 90% below retail and then resell them in November for slightly below retail. I think that's a way that a lot of low-income earners could earn a few extra $1,000s every year. However, I don't think that's very good for this case because then you'd have to be hanging on to them for almost a year before you could resell them. Now let's talk about the risks of doing this. I think the biggest risk is that you sell some of your things or a lot of your things and then you don't get approved for residency, because after all, each consulate and the individual employee who's working with you has the flexibility to approve you or not. And your approval might come down to whether they like you or not. So maybe you get declined at one consulate and you have to go to another consulate or a third consulate for a third appointment to end up getting approved, or maybe you never get approved at all. That's always a possibility. And also the rules can change at any time. So now let's discuss, is it okay to do this? Because I could see some people having a problem with this, and I think it is okay, and these are the reasons why. Number one, you're playing by their rules. Number two, they can change the rules at any time, and they've been basically the same for quite a few years now. And number three, they let a lot of other people get residency a whole heck of a lot easier than going through this route. For example, during COVID, they started this program where if a tourist lets their visa expire, meaning they stay longer than they're allowed in the country or they're in the country illegally, well, then they can just apply for the regularization program and get temporary residency with no financial requirements whatsoever. So that's a much easier route than going the way of trying to prove financials and all of that. In addition to all of those reasons, take a look at this example of someone who's getting approved for residency all the time. So Retail Rachel is the manager at a retail store, and she brings home $3,500 a month from her paycheck. But the day that she moves to Mexico, her income goes to zero. A big fat zero. So how's that any different from the person who is making part of their income selling some things before they move? That income is going to go away when they move as well, just like Rachel's did, but they don't have a single problem with this. So why would they have a problem with someone selling some things? Now, every consulate can make their own decisions. So maybe there are some consulates out there who would decline Rachel and they would say, hey, you're not going to have your income when you go to Mexico, so I don't think we can approve you. However, the consulates that I'm familiar with, they don't care. They just want to see that you have an income that meets or exceeds their limits every month for the 6 months preceding your appointment. Now, one way I have heard about some people getting approved is morally questionable, and this is where I would draw the line. I would absolutely not recommend this, and that is they would just withdraw a couple $1,000s from their bank account every month and then deposit it the next month. And then they just keep doing that, and then they were recycling the same money over and over to make it look like they had money coming in. Whereas if you're selling stuff or if you have a job, you actually do have money coming in. This is new money, not recycled money. So that's where I would draw the line at it not being morally acceptable. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to the channel and watch this one next. It's some of the cities that I think would be the best places to live on $1,000 a month in Mexico.